Hello everyone, I am Debbie and thank you for coming to this 60-minute class. Just a couple things, this class is going to be very hip and shoulder focused, so that's what we'll be looking at the majority of the time. As always, take things at your leisure. If you at any point in time need to come down to a child's pose, go down to a child's pose, rejoin us again when you're ready. You can have your blocks, straps, anything available and accessible to you to get you more into the poses. And just full disclosure, I am using this class as part of my 300-hour yoga teacher training program. So this class is being recorded audio, but no video. So just when you see the headphones, don't worry, I'm not having a camera crew hiding anywhere on you. So let's just jump right into it and let's get started. So again, this is going to be a class that we do have a lot of focus on the hips and shoulders, but let's start by taking the right knee on top of the left knee. So we'll start in Gomukhasana. Right knee all the way up on the top of that left knee. And if you need something underneath the hips, you can put a blanket under here, that would be totally fine. You can sit on a folded blanket or on a block. And then just for a moment, take your thumbs into your hip creases, right where the top of the thigh and the pelvis join. And into that soft part right there, take the thumbs and just gently press down. And then with the thumbs, also sort of rotate that skin out. Yeah. And then as you rotate that skin out, you have this nice strong anchoring for us down through the sitting bones. Gently lengthen up through the waist, the heart, the lungs, the chest, and then keep that grounded. Light length to the spine, and then interlace the fingers and take them to the back of the hand. Take the back of the hands on top of the head for a moment. And with the hands there, draw the shoulder blades down and away from each other. And then really slowly, keeping the elbows wide apart, slowly start to straighten up through those arms. And as you go with this slowness and this movement of the shoulder blades down and away from each other, you'll come into a little bit of more resistance in the shoulders and arms. Good. Another moment or so. And get those elbows as long as you can get them. Take another inhalation, and then as you exhale, release the arms, a big wide arc, and take the left elbow on top of the right elbow, and then draw the elbows up to the height of the shoulders. Imagine that you still had thumbs and the hip creases. Draw those hip creases down and away. And then from there, take the elbows a little bit higher, squeeze them together. Then as you exhale, draw the elbows down towards the belly and roll in the upper back. Lean just a little bit forward. Take a moment. Draw a deep breath into the space between the shoulder blades, and then as you inhale, bring the elbows back up to the center, separate the elbows, a nice wide broadness across the chest, and then rotate the forearms in, swing the hands behind you, hold the elbows behind the back, or fold the palms together behind the back, whatever the body has space for today. And then from there, lift and bring it to the top, take a deep breath, and then as you exhale, keeping the spine long, come forward any amount, just for a breath or two. So in practice today, we'll have a nice steady rhythm, but we're going to really look at untying tension in the hips and shoulders with an inhalation, come all the way back up to center. And then just one more thing with this right leg on top, interlace the fingers behind you, stretch the arms back, go ahead and take a big inhalation. And then as you exhale, release the arms, take the hands behind you, lean back, and then extend both legs straight forward into Dandasana. And keep the hands back behind you for a moment. All right, turn the fingertips forward, then turn the fingertips forward, and then bend those elbows straight back. Draw the inner elbows towards each other, and then pressing the hands down and keeping the elbows bent, gently lift the breastbone, the heart, the lungs. Go take another moment or so, lifting the chest, elbows bend and draw towards each other. Good. Then press yourself upright. Bend the knees, tiptoes to the floor, lift the legs, and press the arms. There you go. Take another breath, and then just keep the legs up. Take the hands behind you and take the left knee on top of the right knee. Good. Pause there for a moment. Use your hands to adjust the knees, to adjust the legs, how you want them. Very good. Then just for a moment, starting nice and slow, getting into those outer hips and awakening the shoulders. Take the thumbs into the hip creases, compress those hip creases down as you press them down, or rotate that skin out as you anchor down through the sitting bones. Draw up through the waistline, the heart, the lungs, Then continue to breathe. Great. Interlace the fingers, back of the hands on the hand. Draw the shoulder blades down and away from each other, and then from there slowly start to reach up. Imagine that the hands have like a weight in them, and there's just a slow, deliberate stretching up through the elbows. Take another inhalation. Squeeze those upper arms towards each other. Then as you exhale, take a wide sweep of the arms. Right elbow on top of the left elbow. Good job. Lift the elbows up to the height of the shoulder. Gently squeeze those elbows together. Then continuing to breathe, draw the elbows down, round the upper back, and start to round just a little bit, not going too far, and keeping the elbows close to the side, to the knees. So keeping them tucked in, take a slow, deep breath or two, breathing into the upper back, creating space. And then with the next inhalation, lift the elbows, lift the chin, then re-separate those elbows, take a wide stretch across the chest, and then rotate those forearms in and hold the elbows behind the back, or fold the palms together in prayer behind you. And from there, take a slow, deep in-breath, lift and broaden the chest, that on the exhale, keep the spine nice and long. Come forward for just a moment. Let the neck be there, yep. Facial muscles, everything's passive, it's quiet. Very good. And just stay there for another moment. Good job. And with an inhalation, come all the way back up to sitting, good. Slide the hands down, interlace the fingers behind you, stretch the arms back. Go ahead and take a big full inhalation. And as you exhale, release that interlace. Keep your hands behind you, fingertips forward. Extend both legs straight forward into staff pose. And then lean back on the arms. Plant the hands. Hug the elbows in so the elbows pretty bent and drawn in. And then from there, press the hands down and lift the chest. Good, good. Another moment or so. Big full breath in the chest, opening the front of the shoulders. Good, good. Then one more deep in breath, top of the lungs. Then slowly press yourself back up, vertical. And one more time for now. Bend the knees, pull them in. Extend the arms forward, reach the legs. Go ahead, take another inhalation. And then as you exhale, cross the legs and step back into down dog. Now, as we sat in Gomukhasana, right? The one knee was on top of the other. Position the hips, yep. Tends to stretch it's a good stretch for most bodies. And it's the far outer hips rise, the very deep outer hip. But for some of you also get a sort of a deep feeling in the seat as well. But for most bodies, it's more lateral. It's more the outer hip. So as you take a couple breaths, bring your awareness into the far outer hips. And as you inhale, imagine that the inhalation goes all the way down into the outside of the hips, right? And if, when you inhale, there's a little broadening and lengthening. So the widest part of the pelvis, and we'll take another slow, deep inhalation directed towards those outer hips. And then as you exhale, bring the right foot forward into pigeon pose. As you bring that right knee forward into pigeon pose, this first round, walk the hands, just a good step forward. But keep the elbows straight. And with those elbows straight from down dog, yep, and if your hands, you're pulling the sticky mat forward. As the hands pull the sticky mat forward with the back legs, stretch a little bit further back. Draw the right groin and the right outer hip back towards the wall behind you. Take another steady, deep breath down into the right outer hip. Very good. And then as you exhale, step those hands back and walk it back into downward facing dog to take a moment. In down dog. And especially because we're going to emphasize some shoulder movement today, become aware of the fingertips rooted deeply down through the base of all those fingers, through the tip of the fingers. Then on exhale, step the left leg forward, coming into pigeon pose. And then from that pigeon pose, keep it fairly active. It's a nice, mellow, quiet start, but keep the arms active as if the arms are still doing down dog. In fact, you can even externally rotate the upper arms. You can start to see what the arms do in down dog in this pose because there's not as much weight on them. So you can turn those inner elbows slightly forward, can root down through the base of the fingers and down throughout the fingertips. Take another breath, drawing the left groin and the left outer hip towards the wall behind you. Then on an exhale, step those hands back, shift back, down a downward facing dog. Just take a few moments here. And then this downward facing dog, relax the neck. Bend just the right knee, bend substantially. And then looking at the left foot, turn the left heel in towards the right foot and bring the outer edge of that left foot to the floor. Then turn the hips a little bit more to the left, reach through the arms, draw that left hip up and back, very good. Take another moment or so. Let the body lean into lifting that left outer sitting bone. Take another breath. Then as you exhale, step the right foot forward between the hands. Bring the left knee to the sticky mat, both hands to the front knee for a moment. Let those hips soften down towards the mat. Then from there, reach the arms up and overhead, steady breath. Go ahead. Keep the lift to the chest, but then take the left elbow on top of the right elbow. Soften down through those hips a little bit lower. Feel like the tailbone is dropping forward and down towards that front heel. And then press that front heel down strongly into the mat to lift and open the chest. Go take another breath, pushing the right heel bone into the floor. Then as you exhale, bring the hands down and step back into downward facing dog. We'll do another variation on the second side then. And breathe down all the way to the outer hips. Good. Then from there, bend just the left knee and see it, turn the right heel in towards the left foot. Bring the outer edge of that foot to the floor. Turn the hips quite a bit to the right. And then as you turn those hips to the right, you get a little bit of a side bend. Keep that. Draw the right sitting bone up and away from the ribs. Good, good. Another moment, anchoring through the right hand, reaching through the right arm, lengthening through the right waist. Take a big inhalation, stretching open that outer right hip, and then as you exhale, step the left foot forward between the hands. Bring the right knee to the mat, both hands to the front knee, continuing to breathe. Extend the arms up overhead, get the length to the waistline, and then take the right elbow on top of the left elbow. Very good. Press the forearms forward, up, or away from the face. And then as you do that, soften down through the tailbone. You get the front of the right hip here, and then push the left heel strongly down into the floor to take the elbows up and increase the little, I'll increase it. Then we take another inhalation here. Then as you exhale, release the arms, step back into downward facing dog. Take a moment or two here. Good job. Let the hips sway a bit side to side so there's just this nice, easy, soft lateral movement. Nice length and lateral movement. Take another inhalation and turn those hands out just a hair. Then as you exhale, step forward to the front of the mat. Good job. Take the hands to the shins, lengthen your back, exhale, forward fold. Stay here. Bend the knees a little bit. Interlace the fingers behind you and stretch those knuckles down towards the ceiling. Good. Let that neck soften as much as you can. Yeah. Then as it backs off and takes the arms just a little bit further. Good, good. Take another inhalation. Then as you exhale, just release the arms. Take a moment in the forward fold. Then bend the knees. Yep. Good. Bend the knees, come into chair pose. Good. Take another breath. We'll do Gomukhasana. There, we'll take the right knee on top of the left knee and take the left elbow on top of the right elbow. Gardasana, yep. And then from there with those right toes, it sort of sneaks through those right toes behind the standing ankle. And if the toes don't go all the way behind the standing ankle, just float them down a little bit above the floor. And we'll do 2 more cycles of breath here. Direct the breath down to the outside of the hips. Tailbone drops, elbows to lift. 1 more inhalation, nice and steady. And then as you exhale, unwind everything in forward fold. And then in the forward bend, just bend the right knee a little bit. And as you bend just the right knee, turn the ribs just a touch to the left and draw up and back on the outside of the left hip. You get a little bit more of a stretch on the lateral side of the leg. And then from there, back to center, just the left knee. And as you bend that left knee, just a tiniest little pelvic and rib twist to the right. Good, good. Another breath. And then as you exhale, come back to center, bend both knees and come into your chair pose. Good. And just take a moment here. Feel the relative steadiness in having both feet on the floor now. Taking another inhalation. And then as you exhale, step the left knee on top of the right knee. And with that left knee on top of the right knee, that's the balancing. It gets precarious. We tend to hold the breath and just practice short-circuiting that process. Keep that breath steady. Take the right elbow on top of the left elbow. And as you drop the tailbone, lift the elbows nice and steady. Direct another breath into the outside of those hips. Go ahead. One more inhalation. Very good. And then as you exhale, unravel everything and forward fold. Hands to shins. Inhale, long spine. Exhale, right foot back, right knee to the mat. Inhale, stretch the arms up overhead. Exhale, hands to the floor. Good job. Step to plank. Take an in-breath in plank. Then as you exhale this round, come all the way down to the floor. Interlace the fingers. Lengthen through the legs. Lift them slightly. Lengthen through the chest. Stretch those arms back. Take another moment. Lean the shoulders just a little bit to the right. Just a little bit to the right. And pull the arms further back. Good. Take a breath. Keep breathing. Then come back to center. Lean just a little bit to the left. That'll change your leverage. Draw those arm bones further back. Take a breath. Come back to center. Take one more inhalation. Then exhale. Hands down, downward facing dog. Draw the sticky mat using your hands. Draw the sticky mat forward. And as the hands drag the mat forward, draw the ribs up and away from the hands. Pull the hands and the ribs away from each other. And another deep inhalation down into the outer hips. And then exhale. Right foot forward. Left knee to the mat. Stretch the arms overhead. Exhale, hands down. Step forward and fold. Inhale. Chest to the front of the room. Exhale. Forward. Bend. Inhale all the way up. Lift the ribs. Fold the palms. Continue. Inhale. Stretch the arms up. Exhale. Forward. Bend. Inhale. Lengthen forward. Exhale, left foot back. Left knee to the mat. Inhale, stretch the arms up. Tailbone down. Exhale, hands down. Plank. Taking an in-breath in plank. Then exhale, chaturanga on the floor. Inhale, roll it up into up dog or cobra. Exhale, draw back into downward facing dog. Good, good. Nice and steady. Settle your awareness into the hands. Root them down and lengthen the arms. And then as you do that, draw those ribs a little bit further up and away from the hands. Take a steady breath down into the outer hips. Good job. Then as you exhale, step the left foot forward, right knee to the mat. Inhale, stretch the arms up, lifting the bottom ribs. Exhale, all hands down. Step forward. And fold. Inhale, stretch the chest forward. Exhale, fold into the thighs. Inhale, sweep all the way up, long arms. Exhale, fold the hands. One more of those lunges. Inhale, stretch the arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Steady breath. Inhale, slide the chest up. Exhale, all right. Foot back, right knee to the sticky mat. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, hands down, plank. Take a breath in plank. Looking forward. Exhale, chaturanga. Elbows in. Inhale, roll up, either into cobra, upward facing dog, firm. Exhale, back to downward facing dog. Good, good. 2 or 3 breaths here. And with the hands, you're pressing the floor all the way down. The ribs draw up and away from the floor. The breath is still finding its way all the way down into the outer hips. Take one more breath down to the outer hips and exhale. Right foot forward, left knee to the mat. Inhale, stretch the arms up. Exhale, hands down. Step forward and forward fold. Inhale, lengthen your back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, sweep all the way up. Hands touch at the top. Exhale, release the arms. Last lunge. Inhale, stretch the arms up. Forward fold. Inhale, long spine. Exhale, left foot back. Left knee to the mat. Inhale, float the arms up. Exhale, hands down, plank. Take an in-breath in plank. Arms and legs are firm. Exhale, chaturanga or the floor. Inhale, roll up into cobra, downward facing dog. Glide back into downward facing dog. Good, nice and steady. Good, good. As you create more steadiness and evenness with the breath, we start to influence and cultivate a little bit more steadiness and evenness of our mind, right? Doesn't happen really quick, doesn't happen easily. It's a long and continuous process. Keep breathing. Take another steady breath into the outer hips. Then exhale, left foot forward, right knee to the mat. Inhale, stretch the arms up overhead. Exhale, hands down. Step forward and fold. Inhale, long back. Exhale, fold into the thighs. Inhale, stretch all the way up. A little back, bend at the top. Exhale, fold the palms, continuing. Inhale, arms up, firm thighs. Exhale. Okay, turn center, yep. Inhale, lengthen the waistline for all those plank poses. Take in the breath, looking forward, then exhale, chaturanga. Inhale. Good job. Exhale, glide back into downward facing dog. Good. Then from down dog, step the right foot forward between the hands. Turn and ground the outer edge of that left foot, and then come into, if you want to, ground down, yep. And then come into Virabhadrasana 2. Take the left hand to the left hip and take the right hand to the inside of the right thigh, close to the groin. The left hand, the left hip, the right hand, the right thigh, inner groin. And then from there, drop the thigh just a little bit deeper, and then hold that left hip and place it firm, the left thigh as much as you can. With the right hand holding the inseam of the right thigh, gently pull the skin of that right inner leg towards the inner knee. And then as you do that with the hand, gently widen that right thigh away from the left hip, so there's a broad action between the hands. Right between the hands, as gently and stretch that skin apart. And then continuing to do that, reach the arms nice and wide. Feel that broadness in the interior. And then for a moment, look over the back arm. Look at that left arm, and as you reach a little bit further through that arm, spin the back of the hand towards the floor, and then swing that left hand behind you. So the left hand comes around towards the right thigh, right? And if that hand doesn't come all the way around to the thigh, right then, with that hand, just tuck it into the waistband. Good, good. Continuing from there, lift the chest a little bit taller. Broaden out that left shoulder away from the right in the knee. Take another inhalation. And then as you exhale, still bound, come into triangle pose. As you come into triangle pose for just a couple of breaths, if that top shoulder is too much, just take the top hand of the top hip and reach it towards the ceiling. Otherwise, take your awareness to the breastbone and just gently turn that breastbone a little bit more. Turn the left lung a little bit more, yes. And then the last moment or so, don't force that left elbow back and just gently roll to that left collarbone open. Good, good. Take another moment. Reassert that front thigh externally. Rotate that front side. Turn the inner knee out. Good, good. Take another inhalation. Yep. And then as you exhale, just slide that left hand out and then take that arm towards the ceiling for a moment. Go take another breath and feel that wide stretch through the limbs. Then on the exhale, take that left hand to the floor. Good. Come into a lunge. Take a breath in the lunge. And then as you exhale, step back into your downward facing dog. And you're gonna anchor down through the hands as the hands drag the mat forward, draw the ribs up and away. Yeah. And then on your exhale, step the left foot forward between the hands. Coming into Virabhadrasana 2. Good job. We come up into it, put both hands on the hips for a second, and then keeping that right hand on the right hip, so literally on the right hip bone, the left hand holds the inside of the left thigh towards the groin, firm that right thigh. And we're going toward the inner groin. So that left hand, gently pull that skin of the left inner thigh towards the inner knee, and then as you do it, don't crank, but with the hands, just gently lengthen the skin between them apart. Just feel like you just stretch the skin, don't try and move the bones, and then continue to reach, glide like those arms wide out to the side. Very good. Look over that back arm. Rotate the back arm in, and then sweep that right hand behind you to the seat or to the waistline or to the thigh. From there, look over the left fingers. Take another breath from thigh, a little bit deeper. Right shoulder roll open on an exhale. Straighten that front leg and come into triangle pose. We take it, and then just a nice and steady Trikonasana. Instead of pulling the right elbow back, just gently roll the right shoulder open. Good. Another moment or so, both sides of the ribs are sliding toward the front of the sticky mat, and that left sitting bone is drawn deeper and deeper and deeper into the body. Good. Remember to breathe. Take another steady inhalation, then as you exhale, bend the front knee, slide that right arm out, and let's take the hands to the floor for a moment. Good. Come to the fingertips, take a breath back, heel lifted, and then exhale, step back into downward facing dog. Good. Then from down dog, inhale, rock forward to plank, pause, looking forward, exhale, Chaturanga. You can do upward facing dog or cobra from here, but we're going to push back into downward facing dog. Good job. A couple breaths. Bring the front shin forward and the left hip points out, and then reassert that back leg today like you're making the back leg 6 inches longer. So emphasize, instead of emphasizing rotation, which is a fine thing to emphasize the length. So make that back leg incredibly long. The rib dropped out, front thigh, and then continuing to breathe. Take that left elbow on top of the right elbow. Okay? And then with that elbow on top, press the forearms away from the face. Draw the elbows up, and then dig that tailbone a little bit deeper. Good. A little bit of space for the breath inside the body. Right, as we're working to keep the hips there, various different regions in the shoulder. Keep that breath steady. Good. Take another breath. Elbows a little bit higher, cultivating space in the back body. And on an exhale, sweep the hands down behind you. Good job. Inhale, interlace the fingers and lift the chest. Then as you exhale, fold forward inside the front thigh. Good. Relax. Have the bones draped towards the floor. Good. Shoulder blades draw up and away from the ears, and those arms are reaching. Take one more breath. Keep bringing that breath down into the outer hips. Then as you exhale, stay low and just take the hands to the floor. Go ahead. Pivot that back heel up. Come to the fingertips. Take an inhalation, and then as you exhale, step it back into downward facing dog. And then again, it's very subtle, but it's continuous. This hand grounds down, the ribs cage draw diagonally up and away from the hands. So there's this diagonal stretch between the hands and ribs. And push that up a little bit right there. Good job. Keep breathing. Now on exhale, step the left foot forward between the hands and ground that back heel. Come into Virabhadrasana 1. Then as you come into Virabhadrasana 1, take the hands to the hips for a second. Yes. Now rotate that right hip point for just until it stops. Lift up on those hip points and then lengthen that back leg. Just feel like you're stretching that back leg down into the floor. The foot's deep into the floor. And then go ahead and reach those arms up overhead for a moment. Good. Take an in-breath here. Then as you exhale, wrap the right elbow on top of the left elbow. Press the forearms up and away from the face. And take those elbows up and away, nice and steady. Drop the tailbone. And then this may or may not be a big stretch for you, but it's this big lateral expansion of the upper back. So take a deep breath into the back of the lungs. The breath is staying steady. Then as you exhale, slide the hands down behind you. Interlace the fingers. Inhale. Stretch the arms up front. Shin forward. Exhale. Fold forward inside the front knee. Good, good. Nice and steady with the breath. Steady cadence, good. Another moment or so. Steady breathing. The neck relax. Then as you exhale, bring the hands all the way to the floor. Stay low in the back. Heel up. Take a breath there. Then on the exhale, step back into your downward facing dog. Great. Then one more standing pose from here. Right foot forward between the hands. Turn and ground the back heel. And then from there, turn the chest. Come into side angle pose. But the top arm is reaching towards the ceiling. So instead of overhead, and just feel that nice wide width across the chest. Bring that front shin a little bit further forward, but lift the inside of the back up. Yep. So the front thigh is dropping, but the back side is trying to lift. And then from there, spiral that left hand around you. And with that left hand, those of you that can, go ahead and hold on to the front thigh. If it's too much to hold that front thigh, then just slide the hand into the waistband behind you, and go ahead from there. And then just roll the chest open and keep holding. As you're holding, step that back foot halfway to the front foot. Look at the front knee before you do anything else. The front knee, it'll tend to knock in. Open that inner knee, keep that inner knee out by pressing straight forward and then lean forward into a bound version. Yes, very good. Ardha bound version. Yes, good, nice and steady. And even though it's going to be a little bit hard with the balance, just be steady with the breath. Go ahead. Yes. Trust the breath and trust that if you fall, then it'll be light, controlled fall. Good. Take another inhalation. And then as you exhale, square the hips up and let that left arm go. Good. Exhale, fingertips to the floor. Relax the neck. Good, good. Take a breath. Then as you exhale, step it back into a lunge. Fingertips or stay down. Let's take a moment there and just scan your awareness through the whole body, right? The mind divides itself evenly throughout the whole body. Then on an exhale, step back into your down dog. Take a simple breath in down dog, directing it to those outer hips. Then as you exhale, step the left foot forward between the hands. Good job. Ground that right foot and then come up into side angle pose. But the top arm just facing straight up top. Yep, top arm just facing straight up. Take a moment. Feeling the whole width across the chest collarbones, and then swoop that right hand behind you. Right hand holding on to the left thigh for those of you that it reaches. If it doesn't reach right, then we'll work it out. You can just slide it into the waistband there. Very good, good. Good, another breath. Draw both shoulder blades down the back. And then step that back foot half the distance to the front foot. Shift forward and come into half moon pose. Good. Nice and steady. Steady rhythm of breathing. Even if there is some unsteadiness in the body, good, good. Another moment or so. Gently roll that right collarbone open. And as you exhale, slide the right hand out. Yep. Fingertips to the floor. Square those hips up. Soften the neck. Soften the face. Good job. Stay here for a moment. Another in-breath. And on an exhale, step it back into a lunge. Take a breath in the lunge. And then back into downward facing dog. Slow, slow. Take a moment. Very good. Take a moment, come down to child's pose. Good, good. And a moment or two right where you are. Downward dog or child's pose. And then take your time with it. Step your right foot forward between the hands and then pivot on both feet. So the feet are wide and parallel, facing the long side of the mat. Good. Hands down. And then with those hands on the floor, press your thighs back. So engage the thighs, hold those thigh bones in place, keep those thigh bones in place, and then walk the hand forward, right? As you walk the hand forward, don't let the pelvis come forward. Keep the thigh bones pressed back, yep. And then from there, take the right hand underneath the left arm. The right hand holds the outside of the left shin, yep. And then in this sequence, I'm not so concerned about the amount of twist, but I want to use this pose to open the inner border, the inner right shoulder blades, okay? So bend the right elbow. Let's pull those hips back just a little bit, good. Okay, bend that right elbow. And as you bend that right elbow, press the elbow towards the floor, relax the neck. And as you press that right elbow towards the floor, feel that right shoulder blade broad and away from the spine. And then as you take another moment or so, lean the right side of the back a little bit back into that stretch. Sort of press the back of the heart back. And let the heart rest in the back of the rib cage, good. And then from there, slowly release that right hand. Step that left hand underneath the right arm. Shorten the straighten out, a little bit. That left hand holds onto the right shin. And then again with the left hand, creating a pulling action. Left elbow bends towards the floor. And then from there, the left shoulder blade is drawn away from the base of the neck and the spine. And then as you do that, let the heart and the lungs lean back into the ribs. This sort of pressing back into it. Good. Another moment. Let the heart and lungs rest in the back of the rib cage. And as you exhale, slowly release. Ground down through those hands. And then step the feet just a little bit closer together. A little bit closer together. Stay there for a moment. Good job. Take the hands to the hips. Inhale. Come all the way up to stand. Good, good. And last standing pose. Turn the heels in. Ball the feet out. Yep. And then with the hands, hold the inside of the thighs, right? And then with the hands holding the inside of the thighs, pull the skin of those inner legs towards the inner knees and drop the tail. Okay, and then one more time, right elbow on top of left elbow, lift the elbows up, drop the groin down. And then as you exhale, drop down through the sitting bones and round the back forward. Good, another moment. Drop down through the, and the upper back, right? So getting into the most inner portion of the hips, drop the seat, take one more breath. And then as you inhale, come all the way up. You can straighten the legs to give yourself a little bit of ease. Hands to hips. Take a breath. Good job. And then rebend. Both knees, hands touch the inner border, and if those thighs gently pull the skin of those inner legs out. Then from there, dropping the sitting bones, taking the left elbow on top of the right elbow, lift the elbows up to the high as the shoulders, drop the groin a little bit deeper, tailbone moves forward towards the pubic bone. Yep. Then on an exhale, drop everything, right? Round the back. Yep. Get down in those hips. Drop the tailbone down as much as you can. Even as you round the upper back, drop the tailbone. Good, good. And take another cycle of breath, and then cycle it out. And then as you inhale to come up all the way to standing, hands to the hips. Good. Turn the feet parallel. Take a breath. Go ahead. And then just by the way of making it to sitting, bring the feet together. Come to the top edge of the mat. Take a steadying breath. Plant down through the feet. On an inhale, stretch the arms up overhead. Exhale, drape down onto the thighs. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, walk it. Just into down dog. And then just sit down. Good, another moment. Push back into your down dog. Those hands lengthen the waist. Drop down to your knees again. Cross the shins, come and sit, take a seat. And then we're gonna sit with the front of the left shin, and then with the right shin in front of the left shin. Walk the shin forward enough that the shins are parallel to each other and the feet are underneath the outside of the knees, right? So instead of something like this, where the heels are close in and the heels are tucked towards the groin, shins a bit forward, and a little bit of space from there. Take the thumbs into the hip creases, just like you started, and then with those thumbs, press down and rotate that skin out. So it's like you're grounding and turning on the femurs. Yep. And then with an in-breath, stretch up through there and exhale. Keep the thumbs there as an anchoring focus and lengthen the spine forward. Then stay here for another moment and just slightly sway the upper body side to side a little bit. Sway side to side. Good, good. And then continue to breathe. Extend both arms forward and settling in. You bring your hands to the floor. And then find this combination of getting the spine long without working too hard, right? So there's a feeling of space. There's a feeling of continuity, and at the same time, it doesn't feel like you're throttling the body. Take another slow, deep breath down into the outer hips, and then that next inhalation, you're going to come all the way up, back up to sitting. Keep that right leg exactly where it is, and then turn your upper body just a little about 45 degrees to the left. Stay there for a moment. So the chest, the breastbone faces the left knee, and then from there, reach the left hand around. And those of you that can, with the left hand, hold on to the right thigh. Yes, yes. And if you can't do that, that hand's got to hold something for the pose to work. So if you can, just slide the hand down and hold the waistband. Good. Inhale, lift the chest. And then as you exhale, fold forward towards the left knee. Reach the right arm a little bit. Grab another moment. Not too long in this variation. With your left hand, gently ground down and rotate that right thigh. Go ahead and take another breath. Brief version of this. Very good. Good job. Remember to breathe. And then as you inhale, come all the way back up to center. Then take the hands behind you. Extend both legs straight forward into staff pose. Then from there, bend the knees, reach the arms, and lift the legs. And take just one breath into our boat pose. And then across the left shin in front of the right shin. And take a moment to establish where your shins and feet are. Your thumbs are going to go into your hip creases. Ground down, rotate them out. Keep the thumbs there. Turn upward. And when we come against any kind of resistance of any sort, we tend to hold our breath. And in most contexts, it's hard to do. It's hard to witness us doing this because the mind is more engaged with the resistance than it is in the experience of breathing. So with this yoga practice, it's actually a really wonderful concept in which you get to work with resistance. Resistance is it good? Is it bad? It's just a phenomenon. So as you take another moment, I say, oh well, how can I recalibrate my relationship to resistance in a way that the breath actually gets deeper? What if we actually train ourselves to breathe more deeply when we had that resistance, and then from there, nice and slowly, come all the way out, and then turn to the right side. Right hand behind you. Those of you that can reach, right hands are going to hold on to that leg. Go ahead, lengthen the torso up, and then exhale, lengthening forward over the right leg, and reach the left arm out for support. Take a couple breaths here. Thigh bones anchor down, waistline's turning. Those of you that are able to hold on to that left thigh. Yeah. Imagine the left sitting bone is a little bit heavier, and the spine is longer and lighter. Good job. And then with an inhalation, you're going to come all the way back up to sitting. Take both hands behind you. Extend both legs straight forward. Into staff pose. We'll just take another moment here. And then from staff pose, we're gonna lean back, lift the legs, and we're gonna put it into boat pose. And keep the legs up, hands behind you, and either cross the right shin in front of the left shin, or without using the hands, cross the right ankle all the way on top of that left knee. And take a moment to situate yourself. So the knees really look, the shin bones are stacked. And again, if this is inaccessible, don't fight with it. That's why we have the blocks, the blanket. You can always put them there. And what we're gonna do is we're just try to take the right shin in front of the left shin. And from there, flexing both of our feet, take the thumbs into the hip creases, draw down through those hip creases, rotate that skin out. Then from that anchored force, gently lengthen up through the spine. Just recapture your natural height. And then hinge forward. Walk those hands forward. Now if that last pose didn't give you an opportunity to work with resistance, I'm pretty sure that this pose will. So feel that resistance and that restriction. It isn't really good, it isn't bad. It's just that natural phenomenon. Just ask yourself, can I go into those hips and say, oh, I like to remember that when there's resistance, I train myself to breathe a little bit smoother and deeper. And not only does the breath get smoother and deeper, but it becomes specific. So you take a breath into the outer hips and stay with it. Stay here for another moment. Remembering to breathe. From there, the right leg on top, slowly come all the way up to center, and then from center, take the right hand out to right in line with the right hip, right hand out to the right and in line with the hip, and then from there, start to bend that right elbow either to or towards the floor, and then from there, reach that left arm overhead, and you can get this deep, deep, deep side stretch. And some of you might get it more into your outer hip, some of you might get it more on the outer rib, but you'll get all the way in the lateral chain of the body, which is a very good thing. Take another slow breath or so, soaking that breath down into the left outer hip. Good job. And then with an inhalation, come all the way up to center. Take the hands behind you. Let the eyes fall closed if you're comfortable with that. And just take a slow, deep breath in from there. Lean back. Those legs extend straight forward in the staff pose. And then from staff pose, lean back. Lift the legs into boat pose. And from boat pose, hands behind you. And then left ankle on top of right. Flex both feet. Thumbs into the hip creases, and then with those thumbs, draw down and rotate that skin out. Go ahead, continue to breathe, draw the spine up, and then from there, any amount, hinge forward. Resistance is usually unpleasant, but every moment of every day doesn't always have to be pleasant, right? You don't have to try to insulate ourselves in that way, like, oh, I can only relate to pleasant, and just be like, oh, okay, yeah, maybe this is pleasant. If it's pleasant, that's wonderful. Pleasant's wonderful. Like pleasant, much more than not. And at the same time, if you experience some lack of pleasant, that's okay. It's not going to stay much longer. Take a breath. It might be more pleasant if you take a breath. Remember, on your inhale, direct that breath into those outer hips. And if it's too unpleasant, that you do have a choice. It's a great thing about yoga. You don't have to suffer. If it becomes too unpleasant, seriously come out of the pose or do something else. There you go. Then as you inhale, come all the way up to center. Take the left hand out to the left, in line with the left hip here. And then reach the top arm overhead, palm facing down. Oftentimes this type of work is a combination of pleasant and unpleasant, sort of this really amazing bittersweet quality of working with the body. Take another moment or so, peeling that whole right side sheath open, and then with an in-breath, come all the way back up to center, and then just take a breath. Good. Then extend both legs straight forward, lean back, lift the legs. Into your boat pose, you can scoop that belly in, and then hands behind you, lean sort of all the way back like this. Yep. Get the right knee on top of the left knee. Yep. And then use the hands and just roll yourself back up to vertical. And once you've rolled up in vertical, go beyond vertical onto hands and knees and just fiddle for a moment, right? Like a fine-tuned dial on an old school radio, right? You gotta fiddle around a little bit to get the signal. Then drop down between the heels. If you have to sit on something, sit on something. Both sitting bones. Don't sit on the ground. You should sit on something from there. Slide the right hand up, the back, and up the back. The left hand comes to it. So now a strong integration, more stronger than earlier, of hips and shoulders simultaneously. Take an in-breath. Strap that inner elbow up. Then as you exhale any amount, fold forward, right? We won't be in this position or this pose too long. It's pretty strong demand on our shoulders. A good couple of breaths, able to navigate a pleasant, unpleasant, right? Not having to insulate ourselves into a narrow spectrum of being good. Another steady breath, stay in the pose, but release the arms and extend the arms forward. Yep. And then from there, let our halves just gently swell with the in-breath. Take one more breath down into the outer hips, and then as you inhale, slowly come all the way down. Good, lean back into those hands, good. Untangle the legs. And before the second side, just for a moment, legs wide, ground down through the legs, and just for a moment of a forward fold. Yep. Good. Up and away. And this is really just a transition, a long spine, come all the way back up, slide the bottom of the feet together, Baddha Konasana, extend the legs up. Good. Good job. Okay, lean way back on the elbows, left knee on the right knee, go ahead, and then roll all the way up. On center, yep, onto hands and knees. And just get that left knee to wedge on top of the right knee, and then drop back down between those inner heels. Slide the left hand behind you, right arm above you. Go ahead, inhale. Stretch your right elbow up, and then exhale. Come forward, feel the sensation of the body completely, and observe however their mind responds to it. And as you feel the feeling, as you become aware of the response, let's just take a wide breath. Let's feel like no matter what, the breath stays wide. And if the breath can't stay long and smooth and deep and wide, then it's too much. It's too much. The skill of the pause is really sacrificed. So go ahead and release the arms. Reach them forward to the floor. A couple more breaths in the forward fold. And breathe down into the low outer hips. Sort of just giving in to the experience unless the experience is too much, in which case you obviously have many choices, right? You never don't have a choice in a yoga practice. Pretty good setup. With an inhalation, come all the way up. Go ahead. Untangle those legs, bottom of the feet together, Baddha Konasana, good. And then whatever pose is easier for you, forward fold or forward bend, opening. So I want this to just be a nice closing. And so your stretch is less relevant to you just having this feeling of turning and softening. Okay, so whatever pose is easier for you. There are definitely times to do whatever pose is harder for you. Now isn't that time. Feed the calm. Send the breath down into your hips. And then slowly come all the way back up there. And then a simple cross legs, half lotus or full lotus or whatever you're most comfortable in. Either leg in front, either leg on top. We'll just sit, okay? Let the hands rest, the face rest. Let the eyes fall closed if you're comfortable. Become aware. Not of any particular part of the body, because we've already been pretty focused on particular parts of the body. Instead, become aware of the whole composition of the body simultaneously. So you become aware of the whole body at once. Another moment. Aware of the whole body, all the parts at one time. Fold the palms by the chin, lift the head, release the arms. And we'll just take a couple of minutes, and I'll ask you just go ahead and lie back. Let it all go as you exhale. Imagine the exhale releases into the floor from the back of the pelvis. And as you exhale, imagine the exhale releases through the back of the pelvis into the floor. And as you exhale, imagine the exhale releases through the back of the shoulders into the floor. We're just going to stay here in Shavasana for a couple minutes. I have my eye on the time, so no worries. I will guide you out of it when time is ready. You can begin by wiggling your toes, wiggling your fingers, bringing life back into the body. And when you are ready, draw one knee at a time into your chest. Roll to your right side. And then roll into the hands. Come up to sit and join me on the mat. And as usual, thank you again for joining me for our weekly class. I really enjoy it, and I'm loving using this time to teach you guys what I'm learning in this 300-hour yoga teacher training program. And it's been really rewarding, and I hope that you guys will see the benefits of this. But As always, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day, and namaste.